Hi, I'm Jeff Kreifels. I want to talk about AP World History. Your son or daughter has that class with me this year. Uh, Not literally with me because they're at home and I'm here at the school, but hopefully we'll be back together soon. Just talk about what's coming up and what to expect. By nature of being an AP course, it's a college level course. College Board National Program sets the schedule, sets the content, sets the skills and things like that. Typically what I tell parents and students, this time of year, mid-October, is usually the low point because there's a lot of students who are behind, they're feeling overwhelmed, there's a lot of work and stuff like that in AP World History, and it usually starts getting better because they start learning the study patterns. Now, that being said, in a virtual world, there's added stress of trying to do things virtually, and all of the classes virtual and stuff like that may extend this a little bit. Students will get through it. The biggest problem right now that some of the students are facing is incomplete assignments. They're not getting their work turned in, presumably because they're overwhelmed or feel overwhelmed because of the amount of work here and in other classes. I'll accept that work. They could turn it in. They could still get credit for it. But it's one of those things, as they fall behind, they have current work to do and past work to do, and so that burden doesn't get any easier for them. I've encouraged them in meets and things like that to use things like holidays where there's no school. Yeah, you need to take a break sometimes, but it's also you need to catch up so that you're on target. The process that we're going through, the work that they have, mostly they're spending time probably doing the subheadings, a note-taking process, which ultimately should be 2 to 3 hours worth of work over the course of a week. Some students are spending much more time than that, and I'm trying to work with them to get what's necessary, but maybe not write in so much detail. The notes are just bullet points. They're not complete sentences. Some students are writing out entire paragraphs. They could type that and do it virtually and submit it in the Google Classroom. I've encouraged the students, if they can at home, print it out and use a pen and pencil. Get time away from the computer, using a textbook in front of you and a pen and pencil. Much more efficient, less computer time and that sort of thing. Even if a printer's not available, that's not something they can do at home. One thing they could do is look at the thing on the screen and write the answers on a piece of paper, still doing it that way. So the form is on the computer, but the answers, and then they take pictures of that. And the students, again, have figured that out, and that process has started work. So there's Google Classroom, where most of the assignments are, and there's also something called AP Classroom. AP Classroom is where the chapter tests and something called progress checks are. And I open those up for a window, usually 10 to 12 hours. And give them time to figure out where in the day they could do that, go in and take those tests, go in and take those progress checks. The progress checks, they get points for it, 10 out of 10 if they complete it, not based on what their score is. It's a practice, so they get to do it. And again, expecting students to do it in this window, the ones, sometimes like say up to 12 hours for this window. And then if it's not done in that window, they can do it late and still get partial credit for it. Same thing for the vocabulary tests. For example, vocabulary tests are in the Google Classroom. Those aren't as timed as Strictly and things like that, and students have a chance to take it within a window. If they miss that window, they could still take it, but they lose the chance to retake that test. They can rewrite essays, retake tests. They take a shot at it, get graded on it. They don't like the grade, then they go, send an email request. Talk to me and say, hey, can I retake the test? And the process is simple as that. So there's a lot for them to learn. I'm encouraging them to spread the work out over the course of the week. Something like the subheading, they should not be spending 3 hours on any given night on AP World History. That should be spread out more, if at all possible, because something like the subheadings takes a lot of time. Work on a section of it, set it aside for a half hour, 45, maybe an hour, maybe. Set that aside and go on to math, go on to science, and the next day come back to it. Instead of trying to get all of a chapter done in one sitting. I don't know if they're doing that or not, but that's one of the things I've seen students do in the past. So the stress level of, wow, this is hard, this is too much work, I know that's true in all of their classes, and some have multiple AP classes, even as sophomores. Realize that they will get better at using their time. I'm encouraging them, for example, in the vocabulary words, to create note cards where they've got definitions and words and impact or significance because they start learning to use that time. The family's driving to Tacoma and you've got a 30-minute drive. They can study a lot of note cards where it's not as easy to access something on a phone like a Quizlet or a study guide or something like that. If they're able to print out or write out their study guides, subheadings, they can, again, look at that paper and use their time. It's that transition where students start saying, hey, I've got 15 minutes, I could do something with that, as opposed to, oh, I've got 15 minutes, that's not worth getting anything out for. That's a transition that they need to do. And truly for an AP class, even in a virtual world, they're going to be spending an hour to an hour and a half a day, thinking 7 to 10 hours in a week on AP World History. And that's just a matter of scheduling where can they find that time, and encouraging as much as possible them to kind of schedule things at home. Okay, from this time to this time, I work on this class. From this time to this time, I work on this class. So probably over the next couple of weeks, as test scores start coming in and things like that, and grades start dropping and they get worried about incompletes, there's going to be increased stress level. They can make up those grades. They can turn those assignments in. They can get that taken care of. All is not lost. They're looking at, wow, I've got 49% or 69% or 72%, and I've never had anything less than an A or a B. Lots of time left in the semester. Even if we get to the end of the semester, end of January, and they've got a grade less than they expect, if they get a 4 or 5 on the exam at the end of the year, they go back and change their grade to an A for both semesters. They get a 3 in the exam, they're guaranteed at least a C both semesters. So passing that exam at the end impacts the grade even after the fact. So they have kind of a chance to get the grades they want during the semester and a chance to recover those grades after, by taking the exam in May and depending on what their score is there. So yes, they have a lot of work. They're overwhelmed. I understand that, and it will continue. There's not much we could do as far as lessening the pace or the content or the expectation in an AP class, because College Board sets the standard for what's to be taught in the class. Students have to find time to kind of work with that, and if they need more time, they need assistance, they need to contact me. Students who have incompletes, they need to contact me to say, okay, what do I do? And we can come up with a plan for them for that. Thank you.